Hey everybody, welcome to Mountain Made Creations. I'm Jill. Today we're going to be playing in some resin. So I hope you guys are having a good day. It's raining. Oh, okay. It said my wireless was having an issue, but I think we're okay now. So anyway, we're going to be doing some resin today. I'm going to share this out to Jill's creative side. That's my private group. If you want in there, I'd be more than happy to have you join that group. So let me share that real quick to my group. But I'm glad you all are here today, and I hope that this is going to turn out, because we're going to be using some dried flowers and some resin. So hopefully it's going to turn out. So let me set this back here. So what we're using today is A Maker Studio Glacier Resin. And I've already mixed it, and I'm just letting it sit here for a little bit to let the air bubbles come to the top. And let me grab my lighter because, oh, here it is. I've mixed it for 3 minutes. You have to mix equal parts of both, and they have to be equal or it won't cure properly. So I went ahead and mixed that because you have to mix that for 3 minutes, and I didn't want you guys to have to sit on here for that. We're gonna possibly be using some gold leaf. I'm not sure yet if I'm gonna use this, but I do know that I'm gonna use some dried flowers. I have not tried this yet, so we're gonna be learning this one on together because we're gonna find out and see. It's just something new that I saw that I wanted to try. In the resin. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be putting the flowers on this wood piece, and then I'm gonna pour the resin over it. Now, I stained each piece using the Minwax wood stain in, oh, if I can see, Colonial Maple. So that's what I stained it with, and I let it dry. And so I do have some new molds that I may try if we have time, if I have enough resin left over. But I'm gonna try putting these dried flowers on these pieces. So I hope you guys can see good. I'm just letting the resin sit for a few minutes. That lets the air bubbles come to the top, because you know I have issues with air bubbles. And when I'm doing this part, there's no color in the resin because we want the flowers to show up. So if there's any bubbles, they will definitely show up on the clear resin. So I'm gonna try to get this out without messing up these flowers. And I'm just gonna start placing them on the wood pieces, and then I'll go back and move them around because I'm not sure yet how I'm gonna do this. This is just, we're just gonna put this out and see what happens. I'm gonna try to match the flowers though, at least. And I bought these dried flowers. They come in these packs from A Maker Studio. They have all different kinds of dried flowers. And these are all from Maker Studio. So I got all the resin and everything from them. I love their resin. That's my favorite resin to use. I don't do well with UV resin, so that's why I use the epoxy resin, or this is actually Glacier Resin. It has to cure for 24 hours, so it's a little bit different than the UV because you have to let it cure for 24 hours, but it turns out really good, and if you're patient, it'll be fine. So I'm just placing the flowers on the wood pieces, and the flowers are pretty delicate, like they'll fall apart pretty easy. So I have some tweezers here that I'm gonna try to use, and that piece just broke. So let's see if I can find another color like that one. I may have to switch it up a little bit. Let's see what this one looks like. I may have to just switch it up completely because I don't think these match. We're gonna go with that one. I'm gonna take this one off and put another one like this one. I hope you can see good. And also, if you're watching this on Facebook, let me know where you're watching from. comment and let me know. And also, if you're catching this on YouTube, I would love it if you give me a thumbs up, comment if you have questions. I'll go back and answer all the questions that I can. And I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. So there's that. We'll get that out of the way. Okay, so here's what I have. I'm going to try to show this to you without them coming off. And I may add more to it. I'm just going to leave those for now, and I'm just going to start adding the flowers around because I don't want to wait too long because I have the resin and it'll start hardening. It usually gets it usually cures in like 20 minutes. So it is a little bit of a time thing with it. Yeah, those match. Okay, so we're going to put those there. Maybe a little bit of greenery in there too. I'm just winging this, y'all. I've not used the dried flowers before on earrings, so this is a new experience for me. I'm not sure how this is going to turn out. I'm hoping that it's going to turn out really pretty, but who knows? You know, when you start winging it, you never know what you're going to get. But, you know, they'll be unique. So let me know if you've tried this. I would be curious to know who's tried it, and I would love to see pictures of what you've done. That's how we learn, is from each other. So let's see what this looks like. We'll just do some greenery on these, because sometimes the greenery by itself is pretty. Oh, that would be really cute like that. Oh, I like that. But I bet I don't have another one. No, I don't. Of course not. So let's see what this looks like. Let's try this. And these are so delicate. You have to be careful because they start falling apart the more you handle them. So I'm trying to be careful. And I don't know what in the world this is going to end up looking like, y'all, but we're just going to go with it and see what happens. So I'm just laying them right on the wood. I'm not gluing them. I'm not using anything else. I'm just laying them on there, and they're falling apart. And you can use the tweezers if that helps you. I don't know. And you can also break up like these petals and put some petals in there. These tweezers are backwards from what I'm used to. I may need to put my glasses on because I can't see very good. Let me grab my glasses. So you guys, if you're watching, let me know where you're watching from. And let me know what the weather is where you are. It is very foggy here, but I think that the fog and stuff might be freezing a little bit. It's borderline freezing. And I'm just kind of taking these petals and pulling them out just to add some color to these pieces with just the green. Oh my goodness, these tweezers are so weird. So I'm just like laying these petals down and giving it some color because I'm just using the green pieces on this one. I don't know what this is gonna look like, y'all, but we're gonna find out. And I think I need to pull some of this greenery off so it's not hanging off. Okay, so I have a little bit of that on there. I don't even know, y'all. This is probably gonna look so weird, but we're gonna go with it anyways. It's just an experiment. My first time using the dried flowers on the wood pieces. And these tweezers, you have to squeeze them to open them, and like it's like totally backwards from what I'm used to. They're the Cricut tweezers. That's all I have down here in my craft room. All right, so we're just gonna sit those there. I'm gonna leave those alone. I think I'm going to put a little bit of this like baby's breath. I don't know if that's what this is, but I'm just gonna pull it apart and add a little bit on this one. And I'm going to add a little bit on this one just to give it a little bit of something else other than just that pink flower sitting there. And I'm just breaking it up and dropping it just to give it something else other than just that. Okay, so now we have these two. What are we going to... Let's do this is pretty. So we're gonna put that there. Maybe we should do it the opposite way. No, let's leave it. Like I said, I'm winging this, y'all. So I'm gonna be creating as we go. So bear with me. And I hopefully it's gonna turn out. So what are you guys up to today? We have been taking it low key. This sinus stuff just won't go away. So we've been hanging out. And I fixed a pot of chili for supper, so that's already done. And we're gonna kick back and watch some football once I get done here, after I go feed my birds. And if y'all are following me, you know I'm crazy about those birds. I have guinea fowl, and we bought them. I got them when they were 1 and 2 days old. I've raised them as babies. I have one adult hen that I bought her as an adult, but I have 20 total. And we bought them for pest control. Like, we have these millipedes outside and they're everywhere, and so that's why we bought them. But I have just gotten so attached to them. They are just the sweetest things. And if you're following me on Mountain Maid Creations page and on Facebook, you know, because I post pictures on there. But I mean, I have over 8,000 pictures in my phone of those birds. It's crazy. But I love them. They're my little kids. I don't have kids. Wayne has some grown children and grandkids. I consider them mine. But I don't have any kids of my own. I have my niece Nevaeh that I love to death. So, okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start pouring the resin. Now, make sure when you mix your resin, you wear gloves. They say to wear a mask. I think that you should. I'm not wearing a mask today because I'm doing this live, and you wouldn't be able to hear me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and start pouring some on the flowers, and I'm gonna use a, let me get another cup. I'm just gonna pour some of this resin in this cup to make it a little bit easier to deal with. And I'm gonna use a small popsicle stick to pour it on there with, because you don't want to pour it too fast because you don't want to move the flowers around. So let's get started. And then I'll put them in. I have this pizza box back here with a piece of silicone in there to let them dry, because you want something with a lid so that you don't get dust in your resin. All right, y'all, let's try it and see what happens. So I'm just gonna drizzle this over the flowers, and it is self-leveling resin, so it's gonna move around, and I'm just gonna pour it over here really slow. And then I'll move it around with the stick to get it to the edge without running over. You don't wanna run it over because then you'll have a mess. So I'm gonna use this toothpick to hold it as I move the resin around, and I have to be really careful. And I'm just moving it to the edge, and I don't want to move the flowers. Hopefully they'll stay without moving. Hopefully. So I'm just pushing the resin out to the edge as best that I can. It's just like we do when we use the scrapbook paper, but there's no scrapbook paper, it's just the flower. So you're just pushing the resin out to the edge, and I'm gonna pour a little bit more on here. I don't want too much because I don't want to run it over and then that make a mess. So I'm just holding it down with this toothpick. Ugh, I moved the flower on that one. So I'm just trying to get the resin to the edge without it running off the edge, and then not move that flower. And then when you get to the hole on the earring, you need to be really careful that you don't run it through that hole, because then you'll have to drill it. And I've had to do that many times, but it works. You just take a chance of messing up your design when you start drilling through the resin. I mean, it works, but I've messed up a few doing that. So I'm just pushing this out to the edge. And then when I get to the hole, I'm not gonna push too much around that hole. I'm just gonna kind of go around it. And now I'm gonna stop where I'm at because it's self-leveling, and I think I ran it over, but we're gonna look and see. I think it's gonna be okay. So I'm just gonna take this and put it in this box, because I know that this table is not real level, so I don't want to leave that one on the table very long, because it'll run off. Because I have a mat under here that gives it like a hump in the table, and it causes it to not be very even, and it'll cause it to run to one side or run off the edge, and I really don't want to do that. So I think I need to pour some more on here. Hoping I'm not getting too much, because I think the resin, since it's sit for a little bit, because I mixed it before I came live, it might be starting to harden a little bit, and that makes it a little bit tricky to work with, but we're gonna go for it anyways and see what we get. But so far so good on the flowers not moving much. I had to move just a little bit on the other one, and it wasn't a big deal. So I'm pushing the resin out to the edge without going over the edge. That's all I'm doing with this stick, is just pushing the resin around. And it is self-leveling, so it's gonna level out. That's why you don't want to put too much on here. So just need a little bit more at the top, but I don't want to get too much, because I don't want it to start going through the hole in the piece of wood. So that's all I'm doing with the resin, is moving it around. And I think I'm good on this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the box behind me. And then once I get them all done, I'll show it to you in the box, and then I'll show you how we pop the bubbles. And then I can check it to see if any ran over. I can try to wipe it up before it hardens. All right, so I'm gonna do these two next. And I'm hoping that, I'm hoping that I have time enough to work with some of the other molds that I wanna show you. So I'm just gonna drizzle it on here with a popsicle stick, and try not to move anything around. That's why I don't want to really pour it on. So I'm hoping that I didn't just put too much. Maybe not. I've had a lot of positive feedback on these resin earrings. Everybody seems to really enjoy it. Hey Tara, how are you? Hey Lorna. Thank you, Tara. This is a trial. I've not done these before with the flowers, so this is like I'm going live trial to see how this turns out. I've always wanted to try something with the dried flowers, so that's what we're doing now. Hopefully it turns out, hopefully. But I feel like every time I do a craft or a DIY, I learn something every single time, and that I love. And Tara, I was, you know, I had to get ready to come live, so I didn't want to come on without makeup, and so I used my Saint makeup, because that's all I use now, and it, you know, literally 5 minutes to put it on. So I am loving your makeup. Y'all, if you need a new makeup, Tara's your girl. She sells Saint makeup, and it is amazing. I love it. And it literally takes, I think I timed it one day, Doing the eyeshadow and everything, it took 11 minutes total for everything. But you get faster at it, and it's so easy. All right, so there's that one. I'm gonna leave that one alone. I think I'm gonna move it to the box. And hopefully it's gonna level out and not run over. I almost ran that one over. Well, it looks like, looks like I might need to put some more on this flower. I'm just gonna let that sit. I don't wanna put too much. So we'll let that sit for a minute. Okay. So let's do this one and see what happens. Is anybody getting snow right now? Oh my goodness. I'm glad we're not getting, it looks like it might be freezing a little bit outside, but luckily, I think for the most part, it's just gonna be rain. And I am so ready for spring, even though, you know, we did the Valentine craft yesterday, and I decided on that little decoration that I'm gonna redo the bow. I'm not gonna use the bow we made during the live because I needed pink. So I found some pink burlap that I'm gonna make as the bow, and I'll be posting pictures of that. Okay, so I think it looks like maybe it's not covering that flower up. So I'm gonna put just a tad bit more on top of the flower and leave it. And I'm gonna put it in this box back here. And then you guys know about the, I completely just went blank. Oh, the little, I was telling you about the little studs that I make. I'm gonna use the leftover resin to put the backs on those today too. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have resin left over. Because it only takes a tiny bit to put those little backs on there, and those will not move. And I don't think I'm gonna do those two because I just don't like the way that looks. So I'm gonna do these two, and then I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna check the ones in the box, make sure nothing's running over, and then we're gonna make, I'm gonna put some mica powder colors in the resin and make some earrings that way next. So we're gonna try that too. I love the mica powders. I get that from Maker Studio as well. But you can get that. I think a lot of different places sell it. I'm not affiliated or anything with Maker Studio. I just love their products. So I'm pouring on the resin over the flower, and then I'm gonna start pushing it to the edge, and hopefully it doesn't run over or move the flowers. So far, so good. We'll see. But practice makes perfect, they say, so we'll just keep practicing until we get it. But I didn't want to leave these earrings like just with the bare wood. That's why I stained them, just so they have a finished look once they're done. And I've been dying to use the dried flowers. I just didn't have really a good mold for those. I do now, but I didn't when I first got the flowers. So I have had them a while and haven't used them. And then I saw that somebody used them on the wood piece, and I was like, oh my goodness, I have to try that. And I don't remember who did that to give her credit for this. But I can try to go back and look. It was on YouTube. All right, so I'm just moving this around, and I'm trying not to move the flowers much. They're moving a little because I think the resin might be curing a little bit, making it a little bit harder to move around. Plus, I think I may need to use some more resin on this one. And like I can tell you, use your, whoa, I think that was way too much. Make sure you take safety precautions, use gloves, masks, all that stuff, because you don't want to get sick. It is a chemical. You want to be in a well-ventilated room, best with a window open and a fan blowing away from you. And I know I'm not wearing a mask, but it's because I'm live. So I usually wear a mask when I'm not live. And I don't work with resin every single day, so I don't have like a ventilator or respirator that some people use. I don't have that, so I don't use that. All right, I'm gonna stop on that one. These look so good, y'all. I'm hoping that they turn out because they look really cute. Now I'm gonna move these out of the way because I'm not gonna do those. And I'm gonna move this carefully out of the way. And I'm gonna move those to the box and then I'll show you what we have so far. If I can pick it up without messing it up. Okay, so this is what we have so far in the box. I hope you can see them. I don't really want to move the box much because I don't want to, I don't want the resin to run, but I'm gonna put a little bit of resin on this flower. I don't think I have enough on there. And yeah, this is really starting to thicken up. And I'm gonna leave that alone and let that do its thing. And I will set that back here. Let me use my toothpick and move that just a tad to the edge because it's not all the way to the edge. And I'm hoping that this one moves around a little bit. It's pretty thick. Okay, I'm gonna leave that alone. And I'm gonna sit these back here. And then once I get finished, I will use the lighter to pop any air bubbles on the surface. I'm gonna try to do, let's see, let me use this. I think that's dirty on the bottom. Yeah, so this is a mold that I just got off of Etsy. And I'm gonna put some black mica powder that I got from Maker Studio. And when you're using the mica powders or paint or whatever you use, you want to be careful and not use too much because it can cause it not to cure correctly. All right, so I'm gonna have to hurry on this because this is really starting to get thick. So we'll probably just do these and that will be it because this resin is thickening right up. So this is about all I'm putting in here, is that much. And I may have to put some more resin in there. It just depends on what it looks like once I mix it. And I'm gonna do some white in another one. And I'm using silicone mats. I don't even know if I'm gonna have enough to do the backs of those earrings, y'all. It's getting pretty thick. Hopefully it's gonna work. But anyway, I use the silicone mats because the resin, when it hardens on there, it pops right off. All right, so this is the Starlight White from Maker Studio. Resin is like my most favorite thing to work with. So I'm not gonna put as much in there because I didn't put as much resin in there as the other. So let me just mix that up and see. That might not even be enough. I want it to be the color where you can't see through it, so you can't see the stick through it. You can't see the stick through the resin, and that makes, then I know I have mixed it where it's dark enough. And see, I can see the stick on that, so I'm gonna put a tad bit more of the white in there. And you want to make sure you keep the lids on these because if you sneeze or breathe too hard, this stuff will go everywhere. I love the white with the resin, I just think it looks so pretty. Okay, so that looks about right. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna spray a little bit of alcohol in the mold, and that just will also help against bubbles. Bubbles are my worst enemy. They drive me completely crazy. I think the underneath of these are dirty and it's making me think that there's something inside of it. Okay, so I'm gonna pour like black and then I'm gonna do white at the top is what I'm gonna go for. I hope you guys can see what I'm doing. And I'm gonna use the sticks again because, wow, this is getting really thick. Maybe I should just pour it with the cup. If I can get it to pour. There we go. Because sometimes when you pour it, you get going too fast and then that's not good. All right, so I'm gonna stop with that. And this can be very, very messy. So I'm gonna use a Q-tip and wipe up what's in there. I don't wanna have any flashing on the sides, so a Q-tip's probably not the best thing to use because it's gonna get particles in there. Okay, so let's try the white now. I hope I have enough to get the other one done before this starts curing, but you always want to make sure you check around. It has the like the little studs in there for the hole. Make sure you check there for bubbles because bubbles get around that, and I'll show you a piece that I did, a trial piece that the bubble got around there, and you can't use it once it does that because then it's like it has a cut place where your jump ring goes and you won't be able to use it, and that is a bummer. I'm just making a mess. Resin can be really messy, but it's so much fun. There's so many things you can do with resin. All right, I need to get that little bit out because that's where the white's gonna go. And you don't want to get this on your clothes because it'll ruin your clothes for sure. Okay, so now let's pour the white. Yeah, this is curing pretty quick, and it's because I mixed it before I came live because I didn't want to spend, you know, 3 or 4 minutes. You mix it for 3 or 4 minutes, and then I like to let it sit, and I just ran that right into the black. So that might be a cute little design that we can do. So I'm just going to push the resin around that hole, and I'm going to bring this down just a tad just to make it kind of like the other one. Make it a little design. And I'm going to leave that. I'm not going to use the top parts of this. I'm going to leave it just like that. And that's the white. Okay. I'm going to leave it just like it is. This one is a little bit more full, so I'm going to try to take some of that resin out without making a huge mess. Like I said, it's messy. It is messy. So I'm going to try to get that cleaned up. And then I'm going to move it over here in the box. And then I'll show you how to do the little studs. And then that's it. We're done. I'm just going to, I think I'm going to leave that. Try to get it with a toothpick. Just so you don't have like any flashing. Most of the time you can get it loose pretty good, but just in case. I'm just making a big old mess, I feel like. Okay. Goodness. All right, I'm gonna leave it. I keep saying that and I keep doing stuff. Okay, I'm leaving that now. I'm going to put this in the box. I need to run that white down in there just a little bit more on this one. Wow, that looks wild. this may turn out to be something kind of pretty. Let me show you. So this is what we have. I don't want to turn it so it'll run, but I'm going to put that in the box. Okay, now what I'm going to show you next is I have some little studs, and I think that will be okay because the resin is starting to harden. So I think it'll be all right to put the backs on these studs. Since it is getting, you know, a little bit harder, I think it'll be okay. And so I made all these, and these are resin little studs, and I have like these little cute, I hope you can see these, turtles, and I'm gonna put the backings on there with resin, and that way I know that these are not gonna come loose, because I do sell these, and I don't want the earrings coming apart on, you know, ones that you sell. You want them to stay pretty good. And sometimes if I use that E6000 glue, they don't stay. And that one's too big. So all I do is I take the earring back and I have my resin, and I just put the resin on the stick, you know, a little bit on the stick, and I just dip this in there. And I think I need to take my glove off to do this. So I'm just gonna dip it just a tad bit in that resin, and then I'm just gonna put it right on the earring, just like that, and it'll cure, and that sucker will not come loose. And that's what I like. I don't want to take the chance of somebody buying a pair of earrings and it falling apart. You know, they're like, what are you doing? You're selling us junk. So I want to be able to know that this stuff is not going to come apart. Okay, so there's those, and I'm going to put these in the box with the rest of them, and let them cure with the rest of the earrings. And it is a little bit of a process, but it's so fun when you see the finished product. Oh my goodness, it's so amazing. These are little blue hearts. They have some texture to them. I don't know if you can see that very well, but I'm going to use I have some that I have the bigger flat piece. I'm gonna use those because those will fit good. And I'm just gonna dip it, you know, not a ton of resin. It just takes a little bit to make it stick to that earring. And then, like I said, it's not gonna come loose. Once that resin cures, it's not gonna come off. It shouldn't. If it does, there's something wrong with the resin, but this resin is awesome. And all the ones that I have done have been great. They have not come loose. So I just move these right to the box. And I have some little white hearts. I love the colors in the resin, and you can also use acrylic paint in the resin, which is awesome to do. Anytime you use like a color, it helps with seeing bubbles. You can't see them as well when you use colors. And I like the acrylic paint because sometimes if you use like alcohol ink, that's like you can see through it. When I use color, I like it to be where you can't see through it, like a solid color. Most of the time. That's just my preference. I mean, people like different things. I do like the alcohol ink, but I like using solid colors. It helps minimize the bubbles, and bubbles are not my friend. I mean, you can even have air bubbles in the polymer clay. It's like it's a never-ending thing. Okay, so I have these clear little hearts, and I have some little reindeers that I never got around to putting the backs on. So I'll save those for next time so I don't keep you guys half a day. And I have some like little round flat studs, and little blue earrings. And I have little round red. And I think that that's all I'm gonna do, because I don't want y'all just sitting here watching me do this, but I wanted you to see how it's done, and then I'll stop on those. I'll do the rest of these at a later date, because the resin, like I said, it is getting harder and it's curing, so these bigger ones won't fit. I'll have to use the smaller ones on these. And it's super easy to do. You just get a little bit of resin on there. You don't want a whole lot because you don't want it to ooze out from your earring. And I just put it on there and leave it as long as it's straight where I want it, because the more you mess with it, the more you're going to have a chance of moving it or messing it up. So anyhow, I bet you guys that my birds are all roosted, and they've probably all gone to bed. They roost and go to bed when it starts getting dark. And it's probably dark out there in their house. But they have a really nice house. Wayne fixed it really good, and oh, those birds are something else. They experienced trees for the first time yesterday. That was kind of funny to watch. They're very comical little birds. I don't know, I've just grown really attached to them. I lost both my dogs in 2022, 6 months apart. And I think that these birds have helped me get through that. I know that sounds silly to some, but I have always had a dog, and I don't want to get another dog right now because it's so hard and heartbreaking. And they've kind of, I don't know, they've helped me. I think that's why I'm so attached to them. So, anyways, I'm glad you guys are on. I hope that y'all have a great week ahead. I think the weather's going to be okay. They're calling for something next weekend, but I don't know if it's going to do anything. Hopefully not. So, 2 more and we're done, and then I'll show you how to pop the bubbles on the ones we did, and I'm really hoping that the dried flower ones come out. I'm hoping. Since that was the first, so it's hard to tell what they're going to end up looking like. Okay, I'm going to stop right there with that. And I'm going to move all these into the box. And then I'm going to show you how to pop the bubbles. And then our live will be done. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this and get something from it. If I can inspire one person, I feel like it's just amazing. I've had so many people tell me that they've been inspired by some of my videos, and y'all don't know how that makes me feel. It's amazing. That's why I do this, is to inspire others, because I've been inspired by other people, and I just think I don't know. That's why I do it. And if I can reach one person or help somebody have a good day or learn something or anything, it's all worth it. All right, so let me move this. Okay, so here is what we have. Let me move this down a little bit so you can see. All right, so here's the earrings that we did. Now I'm gonna go, and it looks like, let me check. But it looks like, I think nothing has run over, and it looks like everything is to the edge and covered. So far, so good. It doesn't look like anything is run over. So that's good. I do see lots of bubbles, but we're gonna take care of that. Now, just remember when you're doing this, please be careful, because this is a chemical. It could put off some fumes, so just be careful when you're doing this. You can also spritz alcohol on there to pop bubbles as well, so just be careful. Disclaimer, I'm not responsible if you catch something on fire, so please be careful. All right, so all I'm gonna do is just light the lighter and go over everything and pop those bubbles, hopefully. And then that's all I'm doing, is I'm just going over them, popping the bubbles. The heat's what pops them. And since I'm using the clear resin with the flowers instead of a color, they're going to be much more noticeable when it's dry. And I can't stand to see bubbles, but sometimes they're just challenging. It's so hard to get the bubbles out. But hopefully this is going to work. So far so good. It looks like everything's popping. Now on these molds, that's the back part, so I can't see the front part, but it does look like everything went around the little post where the hole goes. So that's the main thing. But I can't see if there's bubbles on the other side. That's the only bad thing. Let me go back over this a little bit. It looks pretty good, but you know, there might be some bubbles come to the surface after the fact. I'm hoping not, but it's possible. These look so cute, y'all. Like I said, brand new to the dried flowers. And that's it, you guys. So I'll let this cure. It's cooler down here in my craft room than it is upstairs. So I take the boxes upstairs and I put them on the floor to cure because temperature has a lot to do with it, and you want to put them on a level surface so that when they cure, like the ones on the wood, it doesn't run off one side. So you definitely want to make sure you have a flat surface. So you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this live, and I hope that you try it. Let me know if you do. I would love to see pictures of what you create. And thanks for hanging out with me on this Sunday. I hope you have a great week ahead, and I will be talking to you guys soon. Y'all take care.